You're listening to Windsor Morning. Thanks for making us part of your Get Up and Go day. Turning now to wildfires. They're spreading across Canada at record levels. So far, tens of thousands of people have been forced from their homes, and fire risks are expected to stay high into September. For more, we've reached Greg Jones. He's a board member for the Canadian Association of Fire Chiefs. Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, the federal government says fire risks will stay high through September. So what does that actually mean for people in Canada?
Well, unfortunately for people in Canada, it means more of the same of what we've seen the last number of years. We need to continue to proceed to be very cautious. We need to be ready to act rapidly to ensure that we reduce the risk of fire. And we also need to follow the instructions given by emergency officials and have a 72-hour kit prepared no matter what. Wildfires in Canada, unfortunately, needs a new attitude. We have great knowledge out there that needs to be used, and we have new behaviors that we need to focus in on. And the Canadian Association of Fire Chiefs, for the last number of years, continues to focus on the need for a National Fire Administration so we can offset these issues and be proactive instead of reactive like we currently are.
And I think you and I talked about that in previous weeks. I'm wondering how that's going. Do you have the ear of Ottawa to create that National Fire Administration?
You know, what I'll say, Amy, is we continue to have the conversations with the federal government. We continue to be available with the government to meet anytime and discuss this going forward. But I believe that there still isn't a full understanding of the urgency and the need for it. And as the Canadian Association of Fire Chiefs, we continue to ensure that the federal government has a clear understanding to the best of our ability to ensure that the lack of understanding and the need is there. Intrinsically, when decisions are being made at the federal government on things related to the fire service, the one piece of puzzle that's being missed is there's no national coordination. The fire service right now, when new policy comes down related to things that we do, we're dealing with it reactively when we need to start dealing with it proactively right across Canada.
What are some of the biggest challenges that firefighters are facing right now that you need to have more coordination on?
You know, the couple things that just to start off on that question, and it's a great question. Right now, fire service across our country, they're dealing with fatigue, exposure to the fires they're dealing with, equipment issues, and the lack of coordination. And unfortunately, firefighters are being impacted by the mental health issues related to all the stuff that's currently happening. But the unfortunate part is the lack of recognition of the linkage between federal policy decisions and the effects of wildfire and the inability to coordinate our 100,000 local firefighters across our country. It's kind of creating a bigger issue, unfortunately, and many jurisdictions are struggling with that.
What's at stake if things aren't changed?
Yeah, unfortunately, things are not changed. And that's why we continue to ask the federal government for leadership at the federal level to ensure that things are being dealt with up front. The unfortunate part for us as a fire service buying new equipment, we just can't get it overnight. It takes us, if not months to years and multiple years to get new equipment. So when new technology is coming in, when new policies are being decided on, we need to know sooner than later so that even at the municipal level, we could start planning our budgets to be well prepared. We continue to have conversations with government. We'll continue to do that, but we need to ensure government understands the true need of trying to move forward with a coordinated effort.
Are there any concerns that you have with the timing of those conversations? I'm thinking once wildfire season fizzles out, do you find that it won't be as much of an urgent conversation?
Well, what I'll say is we are now almost the end of August. We're going to be going into September, and that's September of 2025. September of 2026 next year, we don't really want to have the same conversation, and that's why we continue to talk to government on the need for the National Fire Administration, and we're very open to discuss other ways and other avenues to make it work. But we need to move forward. We know there is a true issue. There's an issue that's not being fully looked at and fully vested and taken care of. And we need to continue to push government to do that. Because it's not just for us as a fire service, but this is for all Canadians. And Canadians are looking for action, and we need action to move forward with a coordinated approach.
The federal government has put over $540,000, I see here, into training nearly 100 new community firefighters. I'm assuming you think that's not enough for what we need.
The unfortunate part is money for training for fire service is awesome. No matter what we can have, it's great. But the unfortunate part, we can train as many firefighters as we possibly can with the funds that are provided. But at the end of the day, it's not enough if we don't have proper deployment and coordination to make it work. There's value in us optimizing how things are done across Canada right now when it comes to wildfires. But we need to make sure that no matter how it works, the funding for training and the funding for the fire service gets to boots on the ground, and we need to have that funding sooner than later.
Are there enough firefighters, or are firefighters being burnt out right now?
What I'll say is firefighters will do everything they possibly can from coast to coast to coast when the event happens, and some of them will go beyond to do what they possibly can no matter what. And what I'll tell you is across our country, firefighters right now have fatigue, but we're also looking for a way to reduce the risk of wildfires right up front. The bigger fires we have, the longer it takes for us to deal with them. Citizens across our country simply can follow fire smart principles, which will help offset some of the fire risks. But we need to ensure that firefighters have a proper way, the proper training to deal with all these situations. But we need a coordinated effort. And that's why we keep talking about the National Fire Administration.
Yeah. Any sense of how much longer the firefighters will be, or the wildfires will be at the capacity that they're at? Because in June, there's 25,000 people who were evacuated, and now there's nearly 70,000 Canadians displaced. When will the season end?
The unfortunate part is, and what we don't always hear every year, is that the thought process is always, in the fall of the year, the wildfires go away. Unfortunately, I can tell you, from my involvement across our country, they do not go away. We've had a lot of holdover fires the last couple of years, which are fires that continue to burn into the winter months, and it continues to happen. The unfortunate thing is, every year we start seeing a more increase year after year of how many wildfires we have across the country and the severity of them. And we need to have a solid plan how we're going to deal with it as a country. And that's the National Fire Administration is a component of that we need, and we need to make sure that we have that there.
All right, Greg, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Greg Jones is on the board of the Canadian Association of Fire Chiefs. He's the Director of Fire Services for Amherst, Nova Scotia, talking about the needs for firefighters, especially as a wildfire season continues to ramp up.